Alright, so today's video is going to be a request deck profile by Junkuriboh, and today's deck profile slash video is going to be an Iron Chain mill deck because when I was actually doing research on Iron Chains, there was not a lot of choices I can do with the deck other than a mill deck, which I feel as if is the strongest version of Iron Chains. So yeah, I hope you all enjoy, and let's get into it. For the monsters, we run 3 Iron Chain Blaster. Once per turn, you can send an Iron Chain monster you control to the grave, inflict 800 damage to your opponent. Next up, we run 3 of the Tuner, Iron Chain Coil. Once per turn, select a Iron Chain monster you control. It gains 200 attack and defense, as long as this card remains on the field. Why do we run this? Because we run Iron Chain, and in a sense, you can go for the Iron Chain Dragon, it being a level 6, and Coil is a level 3. We also do have Snake, who's a level 3. Go for the 6, but there's another reason why we run max level, or almost max level, of Iron Chain monsters. Next up, we also run 3 of the Iron Chain Snake, the miller of the deck. During the main phase, you can equip this card to one face-up monster your opponent controls. That monster loses 800. That monster loses 800 attack and defense. When it is destroyed by battle and sent to the grave, its controller sends cards equal to its level from the top of the deck to the grave. And there's a reason why we would run Kaijus, which I'll get to later. And for the final Iron Chain monsters, 2 Iron Chain Repairman. I would maybe bump it up to 3 because a certain spell card requires us to control more Iron Chain monsters, but yeah, ratios, your choice. Anyways, when this card destroys the opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the grave, inflict 300 damage to your opponent. Once per turn, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower Iron Chain monster in your from your grave, except Iron Chain Repairman. Also, this card cannot attack the turn you activate this effect. Issue with Iron Chains, if I have to say, is their low attack, because if you want to combo, if you want to use Iron Chain Snake as well as maybe Iron Chain Repairman to actually mill / do damage to your opponent, it's somewhat hard compared to like the cards that we have today. That's why we run the Kaijus, just to like run over monsters your opponent controls a lot easier. Other monsters we do run 2 Needleworm. Now, funny story, I was supposed to get 2 Needleworm in my mail, but they messed up my order, so that's why I'm using a fill-in. But what Needleworm does is when it's flip summoned, discard 5 cards from the top of your opponent's deck to the grave. Pretty self-explanatory. We also run the 1 Morphing Jar. I love this card. Flip effect. Both players discard as many cards as possible from their hands, then draw 5 cards. Pretty sure you see where this deck is going. It's mainly a mill your opponent's deck. And for the Kaijus, we run 1 Star Destroyer for its attack, for its high attack, in case our Iron Chain monsters can't run over opponent's monsters. We also run the Lightning Kaiju, as well as the Mad Flame Kaiju, to round off all the monsters. Like I said, Kaijus are mainly in here to Kaijus are either in here to suck up your opponent's monsters or get a free special summon to your side of the field just so you could smack over your opponent's monsters. Oh, actually, hold on. I would like to point out that the Kaiju lineup actually works well with, if I could find it, here we go. It works well with Iron Chain because say you give your opponent a Kaiju, say the Mad Flame Kaiju, because it's the weakest of them all in this build. Then you also have Iron Chain Snake. You equipped it to Mad Kaiju. Then you bring out one of your other higher Kaijus, destroy the Mad Flame while equipped it with Iron Chain Snake. And if you remember correctly, Iron Chain Snake, when the equipped monster is destroyed by battle and sent to the grave, the controller sends cards equal to its level from the top cards of their deck. So in a sense, since Mad Flame is a level 8, so your opponent basically mills 8 cards from the top of the deck when the other Kaijus run it over. For the spells and traps, we run 2 Poison Chain. During the end phase, if you didn't attack, your opponent sends cards from the top of their deck to the grave for each Iron Chain monster you control. Next up, we run 2 Paralyzing Chain. When a card or cards is sent to your opponent's deck, from your opponent's deck to the grave by a card effect, more likely by your Iron Chain monsters, inflict 300 damage to your opponent. Next up, we also run 2 Combat the Grid because we don't like disruptions. We also run 2 Hand Destruction. Each player discards 2 cards from their hand to the grave, then draws 2 cards, as well as 1 Card Destruction. Each player discards their entire hand and draws the same amount of cards. The reason why we run Hand Destruction and Card Destruction is because this is basically a mill deck. We want as many cards as possible. We want as many. No, sorry. We want the opponent to discard as many cards as possible to basically deck out. There's only 1 reinforcement of the army for the Iron Chain Repairman, as well as the Iron Chain Blaster if you want to search them a lot faster. Monster Reborn, in case we need to get a monster back from our grave, or maybe steal something from our opponent's grave. Book of Moon, for the flip monsters. Basically, target a face-up card on the field. No, face-up monster on the field. Change that monster to face-down defense position. Works well with Morphing Jar as well as the Needle Worm because if anything, you're resetting that card. So when it is attacked or flip summoned again, your opponent basically has to endure the same effect. Your opponent has to endure the same mill effect. Bullish Burial, basically for getting the Iron Chain monsters in your grave, as well as setting it up for Iron Chain Repairman to special summon them back to the side of the field. And Scapegoat, because we also have a couple of links in this deck to go for the extra deck plays. For the traps, we run 3 Threatening Roar in case we don't get what we want, so we want to stall our opponent. 2 Trickstar Reincarnation. Banish your opponent's entire hand, and if you do, they draw the same number of cards. You can banish. We don't use the second effect because we don't run we don't run Trickstars in the deck, in the main deck. So basically, just banish your opponent's entire hand and make them draw more cards. 2 Present Card. Your opponent discards their entire hand, then draws 5 cards. You can only activate 1 present card per turn. Like I said, the mill deck. We want them to deck out as fast as possible. And I added this just for the chain theme, I guess you could say. Chain Hole. I like this card because when your opponent activates a monster effect, in response to a card or effect activation, you can negate that opponent's effect. Then your opponent either banishes 1 card. Your opponent can banish 1 card from their hand or deck with the same name as the monster's original name that was negated, or you can banish 1 random card from your opponent's hand. In a sense, it's a win-win unless they're playing Shiranuis or any other card that wants to be banished. But yeah, that does it for the spells and traps. I would also like to point out that Macrocosmos is another good option for the deck. Basically, whenever a card hits the grave, it is banished. Therefore, you are stopping a lot of your opponent's plays. And the reason why I didn't include it in the deck profile is because I don't own one, nor could I actually get access to one in time at the time of recording. So, yeah. Also, by the way, before I forget, that Macrocosmos card was Junkuriboh's idea to include in the deck, which, again, I apologize, I couldn't include in the deck profile, but I'm pointing it out here now so I can make up for the missing card. So yeah. For the extra deck, we run 1 Iron Chain Dragon. You can remove all Iron Chain monsters in your grave from play, and if you do, this card gains 200 attack for each card removed until the end phase. And if this card happens to inflict battle damage to your opponent, send the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck to the grave. For level 7 options, we run 1 Quantum Dragon, 2 attack into your opponent's boss monster, return it to the hand, and attack again, as well as Black Rose Dragon in case we need to destroy the board. 1 Junkuriboh. Basically, this is why we run the scapegoat, because we want to get at least a Junkuriboh on the field to kind of protect us from our opponent's boss monsters, or if anything, use the scapegoat for the 2 Mist Radiants we also run in the deck. It requires 2 Earth monsters, scapegoats can provide, or if anything, the Iron Chains can provide as well. Plus, Mist Radiant does give the attack boost to all Earth monsters on the field. And the last 2 monsters of the deck, I run 1 Topologic Bomber Dragon, because since the majority of decks do require links nowadays, I figured once you drop Topologic on the field, make your opponent wary of special summoning a monster to a link monster's arrows. And if you don't do that, if you don't care about its explosion effect, you can activate its second effect. If this card attacked an opponent's monster, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack. So in a sense, it's a 3000 beater. It destroys all monsters in the main monster zone, and it can inflict damage to your opponent with ease. And we also run the Borrow Load in case we want to attack into our opponent's monster, steal it, or attack an opponent's monsters, steal it, place it under one of its link arrows, or if anything, lower an opponent's monster's attacking defense to 500, and help out with the Iron Chain Mill with Iron Chain Snake, and so on. But yeah, that does it for the extra deck. Alright everyone, so what you're seeing on the screen right now is both mine and Junkuriboh's conversation we had on Instagram. I'll let you read that all on the screen as the pictures pass by. But anyways, what did you all think? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Comment what you thought down below. Subscribe if you're new, subscribe if you want. Like the video, dislike the video. Do what you feel is necessary. And like I said, comment what you thought down below. And I'll see you all next time.